Hi everyone, James here from F9 Audio and the Freemasons, and welcome to 21st Century Soul, the second in our 21st century range of no compromise sample packs. These are delivering the very best audio that we possibly can. Each one comes with a deluxe option, and in this instance you get an extra gigabyte of data, and it is well worth it. But this is what we're going to be making today. So there isn't a single sound in that doesn't come from 21st Century Soul. So let's not waste any more time. Let's start again and go back to the beginning and put this together. Okay, here we go. I'm in Ableton Live because I want to show you some of the Ableton functionality. I've got the master folder pack folder, down here in the browser. I'm going to open the beat stems. So we've created here 17 sets of beats, and they're all stemmed out so you can use them as they wish. Let's have a quick listen to some of the demos between 80 and 90 BPM. Okay, that's quite nice, but I want something a little tougher. Let's try this one down here mostly. Yeah, that's more like it. And I think from memory, I want an 808 set as well. So Homecoming does the job. Let's have a quick listen to it. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so we're going to mix those two up. My tempo is set to 80. Going to delete the spare track, so we've only got one actually on Ableton at the moment. And then let's open the stem folder for mostly. There's all the stems. Going to grab them all, bring them onto the arrange page, and I'm going to hit the command key on a Mac, and I believe it's control in a PC. That will drop them, instead of putting them all on the same track, it will drop them one underneath each other so that they all start for the same bar. Perfect for stems. Now you can hear there's two distinct actual sections to the stem, so they kind of evolve as they go, which is perfect for what we need and why we've supplied them like this. So a couple of things of just housekeeping. I've selected all the channel faders, and I'm just going to bring the volume levels down to about -7, so we're already writing in headroom before we even begin. Let's colour them up so they look nice on the arrange page, and I'm going to group them all and fit them down like that. So now pretty much, let's just leave a couple of these open so we can see what's going on. Now they're nice and tidy on screen. And if we wanted to, we could just start arranging from here. For example, we're not going to need those drum fills. We can go there. The one thing I do know about this set is that the kick drum starts nice and clean and then gets distorted like this. I'm not going to use that part of it, so let's just copy the kick drum across. Okay, so the other one was called Homecoming, so let's grab that. Now it already sounds like it's actually picked a kind of wrong tempo, so I'm just going to drop these onto the arrange page as we did before. And let's quickly look at the warping functions and the warping dialog box down here. Yeah, okay, it's picked at 106.67. It's not, this is 80 BPM, so I'm just going to force the tempo over the top. The reason it's done that is that Ableton is used to seeing everything in nice round kind of bar numbers like 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, etc. So when you throw something at it like a 24 bar section, it does tend to get it wrong. If you've ever wondered how you change the tempo, this is it. I'm actually doing it here. Unfortunately, you do need to do them all individually. You can't just select them all and change them. Let's lock the bits off the end. Have a quick listen. All right, so we've already got two sets of beats. Let's just color these up. We're going to do the same. I'm going to not drop these quite as much. We're going to go down to about -6. here. There we go. And then let's group them all up. Oh, actually grabbed them all this time. And same thing, I'm going to flip these three at the bottom up so we can kind of see what's going on, but without taking up too much space. Now, one thing I do want to do is we're probably going to change tempo here, somewhere between 80 and 90 BPM. So to make that process nice and easy, even though they're already in beats mode, I'm just going to stick the kind of transient loop mode onto the single arrow. Now, this is always good practice if you're using beats because you get the least amount of artifacts. And as we're speeding up, it's not going to make too much difference, but if you ever needed to slow down, trust me, it is a little bit better. Okay, we have these two sections now. And our second beat part. And as you can hear within the pack, we've leveled all these stem sets quite nicely together. Okay, so now the fun starts, and I'm going to head straight for the Maxi Loops folder. These are quite big riffs, pretty much, that have been played by multiple musicians and as much as possible live. So they've all got some kind of sway between the different parts that actually make it up. So you've got this kind of thing. And this kind of thing. But the one I want to use here is this lockdown. And it's actually going to set the key for what we're going to work in as well. We're going to work in G minor, which this loop is, and I'm just going to drag it straight onto that section. Let's just open that up so we can see roughly what the beats are doing. I'm going to have to drag its channel fader down because obviously we've added headroom at the beginning. Now it's having a bit of trouble time stretching. We're in beats mode. I'm going to turn that over to Complex Pro. Ableton is ace at doing this. Turn the performance all the way down as well. But I think it's a little bit slow, and I may want to add some loops from 90 BPM parts. So I'm going to go halfway in between. Let's go to 85 BPM and see how it sounds. Great, let's just copy that straight across, and actually I think what I'm going to do is duplicate the time. So we're already starting to arrange. That's the beauty of having these beat stems. And now let's look for another part. I'm going to look in the guitar loops folder to see if we can find a kind of B section. Let's have a look. Now, bearing in mind we are in G minor here, so anything around A or G is going to be quite good. What's this pecan guitar? Yeah, that sounds like fun. Okay, let's bring that across. We can drop it into our second section. And once again, we're going to put this in Complex Pro, turn the performance down. Now, it's going to need to drop 2 semitones. This original sample is in A minor, and our production so far is in G. So I've just done that. Let's have a listen to the transition. Let's start to build some of the drum arrangement a little bit so that it's going to fit with these parts. You can hear the 808s knocking away there with all sorts of different patterns. So I think the best thing we can do is straighten them up just for that part, maybe have the odd variation every now and again, and then let them really run riot when the guitar starts here. So let's copy that across and let's have a listen. Okay, let's see if we can find a bass part to go with that guitar. So open up the bass loops folder, and I hope you're starting to see here that these aren't just 1 or 2 bar loops, they're quite involved. I'm just going to use the search function to narrow this to anything that's in G minor. Ooh! Let's grab that. That's got to be fun, isn't it? Not bad, but let's see if we can find something else as well. Maybe we can alternate between the two. I'm feeling something live, actually. Yeah, let's see if we can drop that in. So look, there is an actual 4-bar bass loop. How often do you find that in sample packs these days? The second half of that seemed to work a little bit better, so let's split it up and then just copy it across. We got a sort of beginnings of a nice break there, so let's just shift all of our 808 parts a little bit further on. And I think this guitar would actually work quite nicely as a breakdown. So we're going to whack that across there. So whilst we're here, let's just see if we can grab another couple of bits. We're going to look in the organ loops and G minor. That actually might work. Now we know it's in the right key, roughly the right tempo. Drop it in. It's just the first hit I want. Drop it down a level a touch. Get a nice fade on there. We'll possibly add a bit more reverb later on. And that can be a nice bit of glue between our two sections here. Now let's get some of these transitions sounding much better. They're just kind of sliding from one to the other at the moment. And one thing I did enjoy making with these were the tape delay hits. That's good fun. Let's just chuck that right at the front. And one of my favourite things to do with any kind of transition effect like this is to put it on the snare beat of the bar just before the next bar line. That's a bit too big. What else we got? Try this one. That's certainly going to need some help, so let's use our hit from back here. We'll come and tighten all of this up later on. Now I really do want quite a bit of a different feel to this, so I'm actually going to take the kick out from that part and then go and grab one of the live racks. Now this is quite hard to do within a sample pack, but for the first time we've actually managed to add live racks inside of the sampler patches part of the pack. So if you go in here, the racks are all available and they will just load. As long as you don't touch the internal structure of the sample pack and particularly move one folder, this is all mentioned in the PDF manual, you'll just be able to load these up and drop them, as I can here, straight onto your arrangement. You've got some tasty controls here, obviously standard things like tuning, little bits of reverb, little bits of parallel compression, etc, etc. This is the kick that I'm going to use, and I'm just going to play a new part in over this section where the guitar takes over. Okay, let's just go quickly in and quantize. The first thing I'm going to do is heavily quantize the first of every 2 bars. So it's always kind of coming back for that one part. And I'm going to leave the quantize off on most of them apart just from these 3, which I think I rushed slightly. Now, a lot of this pack has been played in live, so you will find things have their own kind of groove. And I think it's really important, particularly with modern soul, to actually make sure that that is kept. So don't be too heavy-handed with the with any of the quantizers. Just see if you can actually play in. So I think I'm going to make a breakdown here, so I'm going to delete most of the rhythm parts. we'll get rid of them. We'll pretty much get rid of everything for the moment, actually. And I think I'm going to add a heavier set of claps as that comes in. Okay, I'm going to go into the standard drum loops folder now. So this is similar to a standard sample pack, and I think the ones I want are called offshore claps. Yeah, they got that wonderful glitched kind of pre-clapness to them. So we're going to go quite a little bit heavier on the rhythm front for this one section, and I want something dirty floating around in the background as well. So we recorded a whole series of loops from the ancient old drum machines, the real little analog ones, the little rhythm boxes, and shoved them through a guitar amp with a bit of spring on them. Let's just grab one of those in for good measure. That'll be fun later on. That rhythm's not quite working with it. That sounds like it's going to work a little bit better, so let's just tuck that in instead. Now, hear how that's slightly rushing against some of the more live and laid back drums. I'm just going to pull up this little button here that allows us to see the track delays of Ableton. So if you want to ever lay anything back slightly, it's a good kind of working practice to do it here. Let's try about 16 milliseconds, see what happens. And we'll just copy that section here straight in. So we've already got a little bit of arrangement for a breakdown. Got that in the wrong place, that needs to be there. Okay, so it's all kind of working for me, but I'm not sure on the guitar on the breakdown. So let's just pull it out, and I'm going to look in the 21st Century Resampled Loops folder. Now, this is basically where we took the contents that we'd already made and just went and completely started again and chopped them all up and smashed them to bits, added some other stuff. No, hang on, I remember this. There's one in G minor here that might work perfectly, 90 BPM. Yeah, let's get that in, see what happens. Not working with the live bass, so we'll pull that live bass out. And I think what we can do is actually bring the beginning of that P-comped guitar and shove it at the front. Let's see what happens. Everything's playing at once there, so let's get rid of the lockdown riff and don't need those second sections. All right, let's see how that breakdown's sounding now. Sneaky little trick there, just grab one of the sections of this, brought it over, hit reverse onto it, and now we're just going to do a crossfade, so that's a little bit easier on the ears. Okay, now I'm going to want some ear candy, so let's have a look through some of the other folders. Okay, so we're going to stick with the resampled loops for the minute. No, that's not going to work. That's perfect. Okay, that's just going to add a little bit of don't know what really. We're going to have it quite quiet. Let's bring it right down. I'm also going to bring the gain of the sample down, and we're going to take a lot of the bottom end of that off so that it's kind of just sitting around the kind of upper mids and top. That second part doesn't work there, so we're just going to copy that. So it's almost, I think it's a 2-bar loop now. So look, I'm sure you can see how well all of these parts are starting to gel together, and this is before we've started to add any more effects. One thing I do want to show, because it's one of my favorite little patches on here, going to go to the sampler patches, open up the grunge layers, and I'm going to get the ones for the right key. We want G minor. Bring them onto the rack. Now, please bear in mind, all of these instruments work on ESX24. They work on NNXT. They work in Contact. You need a full version of Contact, and there's a nice little GUI with to run the Contact instruments as well. So what you have here, sub layers, mid layers, top, and then vinyl crackle in the top octave. There's 8 of each sample, and they can really just add a little kind of layer of grunge over the top of what you're doing. Let me show you what I mean. Let's put that in the right place quickly so you can hear what I'm trying to do here. You don't need much of it, but when it kicks back in, I'm actually going to use 2 vinyl loops, and you hear the difference that it just makes to things. Okay, so I've just had a bit of a mix, bit of a tart up and a bit of a sort out, and as you can see, it's all nicely coloured even as well. And let me play you the fruits of our labour from start to finish. Now, it sounds like I've done an awful lot to this, doesn't it? But let me just quickly take you down all of the individual tracks to see that the plugin list is pretty much non-existent. All I've done is a few little bits just to bring things into play, a little bit of extra reverb, a little bit of filtering, and most of it has been done with balance. That's how well the sounds of this pack actually gel together. The glue is being made by a couple of things, and if one plugin was responsible for the sound of this pack, it's this one. This is the Volv compressor from Goodhertz, and it's allowed us to get completely vinylistic on all of the material. Now, I cannot recommend this plugin highly enough for all electronic producers, particularly those working in bass-heavy music. Go grab the demo and check out this preset, 2-bus glue. It's awesome. Now, for years, urban music's been mixed on SSLs, and I've just pulled up UAD's excellent new SSL channel strip. We've got top and bottom shelving EQs in place, and just a few little dBs of tickle on the lower mids and upper mids. Just brings a little bit of presence and helps bring everything together. And then to finish it off, a little bit of Pro L. Now you will notice that I've dropped the output of the Pro L to minus 0.7 dB. This is quite important if you don't want your stuff to sound dreadful on internet codecs like SoundCloud, etc, etc. I know everyone thinks it should be leveled to 0. I promise you it shouldn't. It will sound better like this. Don't believe me? Give it a go. So I hope you've enjoyed this mini training session for 21st Century Soul. We've not even scratched the surface of this sample pack. There is so much material in there. We've not even looked at the Rhodes loops, the piano loops. There's enough for hundreds and hundreds of records to come out of this pack, all sounding quite unique. So that's it, guys. And listen, we're all up for feedback about F9. We want to know how we're doing and how we're actually servicing you as producers. So do get in touch and let us know if you make anything banging with this pack. That's it, and we'll see you next time.